Okay. Oh, those midlife thoughts that we have as women, right? We see our bodies change. We start to wonder what is going on. Perhaps we stop feeling sexy or good about ourselves, and we look back and say, oh, I wish I was this, or why can't this happen? And we lose sight of that beautiful woman that you still are. I mean, changes are happening, right? Changes is a normal part of life. So if those thoughts have come across your mind, you're going to want to hear this conversation today. Hello, I'm Tanya Otterstein-Liehs. This is Mindful Conversations. And with me today, my guest is Tracy, and we're going to deep dive into the conversation about midlife sexiness. Tracy, hello, welcome. I'm very happy and really excited about this conversation today.
Hi, Tanya. Oh, well, I'm excited that we're actually going to talk about midlife sexiness because now I'm racking my brain and thinking, how did we get to this? So it should be a very interesting conversation. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
yeah.
Thank you.
You welcome, especially, as women are midlife. I mean, the premenopausal, the,
Yeah.
menopausal, and our bodies are definitely not the same as they were before. I mean, my body has shifted too, but that's, again, I always say is value who you are, and stop continuing to compare yourself to other women, or, who you were before. So before we dive deep into this, can we learn a little bit about who you are, Tracy, and what kind of lights your fire, a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, thanks, Tanya. I think we have some similarities around working in the fitness industry.
Mhm.
So I've been in the fitness industry for over 30 years, from an instructor to a personal trainer through to setting up companies overseas. I've spent 20 of my years in Asia, Southeast Asia, when it was just starting to kick off in the fitness scene. So I was really grateful to have such an early opportunity. And I worked for Corporate Fitness, Les Mills, Asia Pacific. I set up the head office there for Asia, and just have had the most amazing time as the fitness industry grew throughout Southeast Asia. And of course, you see a lot of, a lot of women are in the fitness industry, and of course, women are high usage of gym facilities, and so it's always been a deep passion of mine to help women figure out how to really look after their bodies. Big part of that when you get going and when you're young is the physical change that people want.
Yeah.
They want to drop a couple of kilos. They want to, in my case, I trained a lot of bodybuilding athletes
Mm.
to go on stage. And so diet was a really big thing. Um, and then just over time, sort of in my 40s, there's sort of stuff that kind of went on in my head around, hey, I'm in my 40s, this is awesome, and I'm going to look the best I've ever looked. And I felt like I was surrounded by other women who felt the same,
Mm.
naughty 40s, or, 40s is the new 30s, and all
Yeah.
these kind of crazy mantras. And I was definitely, went down the rabbit hole with that until I hit perimenopause. And the really interesting thing I think a lot of women can identify with this is these symptoms of perimenopause creep up on you.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily know that it's coming. Nobody
Yeah.
tells you, hey, by the time you get to about 45, watch out for this. Like, that conversation doesn't happen
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah.
And so in my case, I was about 47, had been in perimenopause symptoms for a number of years without actually realizing that's what it was. And there were things physically that were happening for me:
Mhm.
sore joints not recovering, bloated stomach, rage, mood swings, anxiety, imposter syndrome, you name it. Like,
Yeah.
in actual fact, I wrote a book about it because there were so many symptoms that I was experiencing,
Yeah.
that I wanted to help other women understand that all the things that they think are crazy and a little bit odd are actually part of that transition or that
Yeah.
change of life.
Yeah.
And so figuring out that nobody was talking to me about perimenopause, and I think the fitness industry is quite delayed
Mhm.
in this conversation, because we're still all about how you should look in the six pack and you know that kind of thing, and the fitness industry is pretty youthified. All the marketing kind of is generated to people younger than us.
Mhm.
It's sort of like, well, what about all these women 40, 50, 60s that actually really do like to take care of
Yeah.
themselves and are wondering why the workouts are no longer working and why the nutrition that they were told to eat before is also no longer working. I started to think that too. I was like, there's someone's got to do something about this, you know?
Yeah.
Someone's got to help people. And
Yeah.
probably like yourself, Tanya, you're all about helping others, but you need to find out for yourself, try it
Exactly.
on yourself,
Yeah.
find out the science, upskill your education. All those things have to happen, and then you can come forward and go, you know what, I think I can help you with this.
Yeah.
And that's where I am today. So I sit in the space of programming and content for midlife women, to help them understand, you know, this stage of life, what's happening to their bodies, how the hormones are shifting, how to train fitness wise, rest, recovery, very, very important,
Yeah.
stress reduction, and nutrition. So
Yeah.
I have an online business, and that some of the tools are free. Podcast is free, blog posts are free. So lots of really good content there. And then, of course, I'm sort of moving into an area that, as a fitness professional, I know that I bring value, and therefore there are some sort of paid products there. So yeah, it's exciting. And one of the coolest things, Tanya, is while the physical changes kind of get you down a little bit, the opportunity to be all you'd hope to be and the purpose that you bring out into the world, that starts to elevate.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably one of the things that we want to talk a little bit more about. That feeling of I got this, and I've still got this,
Yeah.
and that's my new sexy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like how you pointed out, Tracy, that we need to know ourselves, right? Because all of us are individuals. And what happens for, let's say, Susie does not mean necessarily it's going to work for you, right? And it's realizing that, taking those baby steps, and even I'll say tweaking things and say, okay, well, I tried this, but it doesn't really make me feel good. So let's do an alternative. So let's say, for example, since we're talking fitness, you ran before, but now, your body's changing and you're starting to get joint issues. Well, then go for a fast walk instead, and still fit that in. And, that enjoyment, or that runner's high you're still going to get by doing a fast walk. Or, you mentioned eating. Like, yeah, definitely the food affects you in different ways, right? What maybe you were fine with eating before, with the hormone shifts, and even the way your body burns things, also your metabolism, is going to be totally different as well. So, you really hit I'll say the nail when you said, realize that things are going to be different. Things are going to affect you different. Do realize that it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. This is just the way your body is, because nobody's ever talked about it, right? No one's ever talked about premenopause. No one's ever talked about menopause. And you're right, it's slowly becoming a topic, but there's still a lot of hush hush about it, right? There's still a lot of hush hush. And I think a lot of it comes from women maybe feel ashamed, like, oh my gosh, I got these hot flashes. Does anybody else around me feel it, right? Or you mentioned that blow, and you're thinking, but I ate nothing today that would normally make me, that would normally make me bloated, right? Or why am I going pee all the time? Like things like that, right? And
100%, yeah.
And that's just you, and realize your sexiness has not disappeared. It's how I think a lot of it is in that mindset, right? Is what you see sexiness is supposed to look like or be like. And you look at your own self, it's like, but I don't look like that. I'm not sexy. Yes, you are, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, Tanya, I really love what you're saying. And I think it really does come down to a mindset, as we've discussed already. But the changes that happen to you physically during this stage of life, not only physically your body, but also mentally. So your estrogen levels that drop and your progesterone levels that drop also do affect your state of mind. So anxiety goes up, depression can go up. This is not all women, but it's a high percentage. 60% of women will say that anxiety is their number one perimenopause symptom. And when you have levels of anxiety, that's where the the self-doubt comes in. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that I had that. And a lot
Yeah.
of people that knew me before would never in a million years have guessed that I was in that state of
Yeah.
self-doubt
Yeah.
about my performance and ability at work after decades of
Mm-hmm.
this work, right? And I was
Yeah.
having, am I too old for this? Have I aged out? Now
Yeah.
that's also where we're kind of wrapping up that conversation with midlife is, I think we say that the menopause conversation is hush hush, but I actually believe it comes under the ageism
Ah,
discriminatory
yeah.
conversation as well. So nobody wants to be known as getting older. And that in itself is a problem,
Yeah.
right? That's a
You're right.
cultural problem. But
You're
in
right.
some cultures, aging is not seen as negative.
Yeah.
Aging is celebrated, and women in some cultures are like revered
Mm-hmm.
for the information and the way they've lived their life and what they offer to the rest of the community.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in exploring that conversation a little bit more with my upcoming podcast episodes, talking about different cultures in menopause and how they view aging in different cultures, because I feel like there's a lot that we can learn from that, especially Western culture,
Mm-hmm.
because we place so much importance on how we look. Now, there's a big difference between being fit and healthy and looking fit and healthy, and being fit and healthy and feeling fit
Mm-hmm.
and healthy. And when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to midlife, the feeling
Mm-hmm.
becomes the most important thing. So,
Exactly.
knowing that
Exactly.
you are moving daily, knowing that you are doing the best that you can with your nutrition, and that you are backing off and giving yourself that time out
Yeah.
to recover properly, because
Yeah.
we definitely need it when our estrogen is like exited the building.
Oh my gosh, so true, right? So true.
Yeah.
And something when you talked about, that aging and getting old is so true, right? The few weeks ago when I was at the hairstylist and got my hair cut off Charlotte,
It
I,
looks great.
well, thank you. Thank you. And grays are coming through and I am so fine with that, right? And then the lady beside me, she was, getting her hair done, and I think her daughter was having a wedding coming up, and they were talking about how they were going to style her hair. And then, the stylist said, well, you have some really nice grays coming. She's like, shh, don't say anything. I got to hide the grays. So once she left, I said to my stylist, I said, embrace your grays. There's nothing wrong with it. She's like, no. She goes, in fact, I love it when women let their gray hairs come through.
Yeah.
So, it's that thought process, right? And
Yeah.
I slowly am seeing more and more women allowing their hair to turn gray and not being ashamed by it and not feeling they have to cover it up. And I see, a lot of women around, they're gray, and then they'll add these beautiful little colors in there too. Like they're
Beautiful.
embracing their
Yeah.
age, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love
And
it.
yeah, and that is making them feel sexy, and it's wonderful, right? Like they're shining and you can just feel the energy around them. And
Yeah.
I think that kind of rolls into that self-love and that self-care aspect, right?
Yeah.
That when we acknowledge and we give ourselves permission to take care of ourselves and to give ourselves love and to make ourselves a priority and realize, what do I need to do that makes me feel wonderful? I'm going to give myself permission and allow myself to do that. I'm not going to say no because someone my age shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that also speaks about the things that you love, where you
Mhm.
think, oh, someone my age shouldn't be doing that. Like, actually, that's a really good conversation piece, Tanya,
Yeah.
because I personally love dance. I grew up
Yeah.
with dance as a young dancer from the age of 3, and
Yeah.
I competed right up till in my 20s, and then moved across to aerobics championship. So there was a bit of a a link between
Yeah.
movement and music,
Yeah.
but it's never left me, and I would still be that girl on the dance floor. Now I'm 52, and you would assume that, okay, a 52-year-old woman shouldn't really be out clubbing, but I'm like, hang on a second, who says this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I dance to music, now I could be doing a TikTok in my kitchen with my son, and I do, because the music and the dances are so fun for me, and it
Yeah.
challenges my mind. It keeps
Yeah.
me young because
Yeah.
I'm learning dance. So that's why I kind of do these things. And plus, I'm having a good time.
Mhm.
I'm not judging myself.
Yeah.
Therefore, I don't worry that other people might be
Yeah.
saying, oh, a woman of her vintage should probably not be doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Because you know what? That makes me feel sexy.
Yeah.
Now, When I'm saying sexy, I'm not thinking about the sexual nature of the word. I'm actually thinking of the way it lights me up inside
Yeah.
and the joy that I feel
Yeah.
when I've pushed send
Yeah.
or when the DJ plays my song.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, that's self-care, that's self-love. That's me
Yeah.
feeling sexy and in the moment is the dance.
Yeah.
And I get that just as much from walking out in nature.
Yeah. Oh
You know,
my
so
gosh. Yeah.
right, so nature walk and forest breathing, like those things make me feel the same way.
Yeah.
Just that, wow, how lucky am I to be alive today?
Yes.
There are people that don't make it to 52.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of that really positive affirmation about being alive that
Hmm.
is just as self-affirming, self-care. So there's probably some listeners thinking, no, I don't do the dance floor thing, but then go, oh yeah, actually, you know, either of those things for me would light
Yeah.
me up. Yeah.
Yeah, and there were some questions I was going to ask, but I feel you covered them really well about, what's something you do for self-care and self-love. Well, you dance because it uplifts you, makes you feel wonderful, makes you feel sexy. And like, I love the
Yeah.
way my body moves. You're getting out in nature, walking, or however you're out enjoying it, or simply closing your eyes and being in the moment, and just realizing that these are things that uplift me, that raise my self-love, that raise that self-care, that just make me feel amazing. And acknowledging that is sexiness, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Allowing yourself to feel that joy within you, and it irradiates on the outside as well. And I'm going to just throw something in there as well, that when you say something, our age and where, because I'm 53 too, right, myself. And there's, sometimes an outfit or a top I'll wear, and it's like, I don't care. I like this. It makes me feel good, right? And who's to say I can't wear that? Like,
Exactly,
I'm
Tanya.
not saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, you've already embraced your sexiness. So when you can
Yeah.
go, I don't care what the expectation is, because, give it 10 years, we won't be having this conversation. That's what I think. I think it's now, because we're having the conversation, that
Yeah.
we are breaking the barriers for the next generation to come
Yeah.
forward and go, yeah, girl, wear that top.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel good, oh, and look at how it lights your eyes up.
Yeah.
That's kind of
Exactly.
where we want to be with, this conversation
Yeah.
now. And yeah, so good times.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think is really interesting when we talk about the word joy,
Mm.
women going through perimenopause, if I bring it back, often say that they feel joyless.
Mm.
I've heard that quite a lot. I get a lot of messages and feedback with some of the work that I'm doing, how they enjoy less has been a word
Yeah.
that's come up a few times. And I do want women to know that if you are going through perimenopause, that it's not uncommon that you would feel that your life is
Yeah.
grey
Yeah.
and that there is no purpose. Now, do understand that it is a stage of life.
Yeah.
You will get through it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of hacks that you can tap into that will make you feel better and maybe see little sparks of joy come back into your life.
Yeah.
But don't think that that's your life for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's where the really cool parts start to come through. So as we move into post-menopause, so menopause is actually just one day when you haven't had a period for 12 months.
Yeah.
So I just want to explain that. So it's
Yeah.
really simple. So everything before that is perimenopause. It's a bit of a shit show. And then you get to post-menopause, which is the symptoms are kind of dialing down. There
Yeah.
are some other health challenges that you need to be aware of.
Yeah.
But post-menopause, people seem to think that, okay, it's a bit of a nirvana with, oh, okay, this is good. I feel a bit better, and I'm actually really looking forward to that, because
Yeah.
I am managing my perimenopause with HRT.
Yeah.
So, but that's like the icing on the cake. So I do all the health things and all the wellness things, the meditation, the stress reduction, and all of that. And that has always been my foundation. And then I just had some underlying perimenopause symptoms that were really bugging me. So I'm like, yeah, just I slap a patch on that one, and it just definitely helped.
Yeah.
It still helps. But I am looking forward to the post-menopause days, and yeah, it's great to see sort of other women coming through it and seeing that joy filter back into their lives. It's
Oh,
when
yeah.
you see women sitting around having a coffee and they're just laughing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like maybe one of the simplest life hacks that I would recommend. Make sure that you've got a group of friends that you can share with, that you can talk to, maybe that they're at the same stage of life. You can laugh about some of your symptoms and the funny brain fog moments. Um, right. And then the
Yeah.
laughter is the endorphins and the
Yeah.
dopamine, and that just, really
Yeah.
offsets some of the decline of estrogen and progesterone. So,
Yeah.
yeah, find a tribe and laugh.
Yeah.
Laugh about it.
And I
Yeah.
think too, it's really important to realize that, that premenopause that there are days where you go through is like, God, I feel like shit and I haven't
Yeah.
smiled today. But like, it's important, like it was something important because I'm fully menopausal now. And it was something like you really need to be aware of it. It's something that I was very aware of it, but I still made sure to continue, and I've been doing this for years, is gratitude journaling every day,
Yeah.
and putting it out today and being thankful, and ending your day with what was the best thing that happened today and what made life so beautiful today, and acknowledging that, oh yeah, I'm feeling like this because I'm premenopausal right now, and this is normal, right? There's nothing wrong with me. That this is just the journey of premenopause, and I know not going to happen, forever. And then when I became fully menopausal, I was like, oh yeah, okay, some of these things are finally gone, right? And there's the odd things still there, but it's so important, as you mentioned as well, Tracy, it's so important to know that, for some women it might go on for 4 years, some 3 years too, some 1 year, but I really feel strongly that we do face same and similar routines, we want to call it, or changes, but
Yeah.
you will get through it. You will get through. It was COVID when I was in it, so you couldn't have those gathering with people, but it's just taking it day by day. It's something I talk about all the time, is it's taking those tiny baby steps are so important. Maybe you don't think it's a big thing, but it is. A little
Yeah.
baby step is so, so important. And realizing that, it will pass, and you will get onto the other side.
Yeah. Look, I subscribe to everything you're saying as well, Tanya. I also journal and meditate, and
Mm,
these tools are essential for stress reduction. So I always take a practical perspective on any of those things that people might think, oh,
yeah,
I don't think that's going to work for me, but I go,
yeah.
actually the science behind it really supports it. So
Hmm.
just
Yeah,
just
it's
saying, like,
true.
coming from a scientific background, there is
Yeah,
just so much science that supports the power of
yeah,
meditation,
yeah.
decreasing your stress, balancing out your hormones. Actually, balancing out your hormones is not really a true thing, because
Right.
they won't be balanced. They're
No.
always moving. Just so if anyone's listening to, or sees a product that says I can balance your
Oh
hormones,
God,
red
no.
flag, red
No,
flag.
no, 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 it's not gonna happen.
It's not possible. So,
No.
and just understand that your hormones are always in fluctuation until they are in decline. But yeah, just that how meditation and journaling can actually really, really help. And I have
Yeah.
those tools. I have an online program that helps women understand menopause and sort of bring all the life hacks together in a really nice add-on structured way, so that you sort of build on one tool, one tip, one hack on top of each other till you start to feel that you've got some level of control back again. And I think that's what a lot of women want to feel when their hormones are really making them feel unstable.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so yeah, I do the journaling thing as well. So what are you thankful for today, Tanya?
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Something I write in my gratitude journal every day. It's the number one thing I write every day. I'm grateful for my health because it keeps me alive and living. Right.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the number one thing I write all the time because it's so true. Because, my health is what keeps me alive, right? Because when you look at other people that, you know, they're not healthy and they're not happy. And when I say healthy, sometimes that's a really people see, oh, this is what healthy means. Like, I will enjoy eat some dark chocolate, and I will enjoy a piece of cake, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. But when I look at healthy, it's, how is my mindset? Am I somehow moving my body every day? Like, I love our dog Lucky and I, we go for an hour power walk every day. That's
Yeah.
healthy to me. My mindset in is a place of self-love, self-care. That is healthy to me.
Yeah.
Balanced eating, throwing in whatever brings you joy, that's okay. That is healthy. So I think, that healthy can be a word that people see very structured or very flexible. So I just really, really wanted to point that out. And which brings me right now, Tracy, as we're slowly running out of time. What's one thing that you can share in a short space of time? We all face challenges in life, right? So what is a challenge right now that you're able to share with us?
Yeah. So for the audience that probably don't realize that I've repatriated back to New Zealand. I am a New Zealander, so this is a Kiwi accent. And I've gone into winter, and I was just having a quick catch up with Tanya about this before we pushed record. Um, and yeah, so going into winter is actually a really strange phenomena for me because I'm not used to the dark season. And so related to that is seasonal affective disorder. So when you have seasonal affective disorder and perimenopause, it's really interesting. But it took me down to a place where I was questioning my purpose and questioning my why, and wondering, why I couldn't move faster with the thing that I'm trying to achieve. But what I was in that dark place for a couple of weeks actually, and I'm sharing this because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, where you feel like how can life get better? And what can I do? I feel a bit stuck. But this year, the second time I've had this, I sat in the dark place and I made myself look back
Mm,
at all the things I'd done in that
nice.
year, and I wrote down this list. And the list
Yeah.
doesn't have to be long, because if you
Yeah.
put 2, 3 things on the list, it means you have moved forward.
Yeah.
I wrote down all the things that I felt that I'd done well. I'd done well, and I was giving myself a little affirmation, pat on the back. Hey, this was good.
Yeah.
And it actually, just that self affirmation
Yeah.
made me start looking forward to the next year.
Yeah.
And basically, what I did was I sat in the moment, and I don't really like doing that because it's freaking uncomfortable, right? But I realized, oh, I've matured enough
Mm,
to be sitting here and accepting that uncomfortable is also a
yeah.
part of life,
Yeah.
and it's only temporary.
Yeah.
Because remember, last year you had the same thing, but you didn't have the foresight and you came out of it anyway.
Yeah.
This year, you're there, it's uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable, but hang on, what are the things that you enjoyed that have come to this part so
Yeah.
far, or that have brought you to this path so far?
Yeah.
So that was my biggest thing, my biggest learning in the last year. And I actually really want to celebrate that for myself. Like, oh, I'm growing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was
So
really
true.
cool.
So
Yeah.
true, right? We excel at focusing on the things we did not accomplish or we didn't do or we're not getting
Yeah.
done, but we fail to focus on the wonderful things that we have accomplished. So I love that. And as far as life in general, and we often get advice from people. Sometimes it's advice like, okay, and then other times it's like, wow, that was really good advice. I'm going to hang on to that. So what's a piece of advice someone has given you, Tracy, that has really stuck with you, and it's, kind of something that you look back on?
Yeah, I think it also wraps up into the theme that I've just mentioned about, really reflecting and enjoying and celebrating the small wins. I mean,
Yeah.
you rate them yourself, big,
Yeah.
small. It doesn't. It's meaningful to you. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what anyone else thinks, and it's just that someone, and a close friend, confident coach, actually has said, don't forget to stop and celebrate.
Yeah.
Stop and celebrate, because you're on this fast trajectory and you're go, go, go. And you've always done that, but you're always looking to get the next step, get the next step, and you never
Yeah.
take the moment to just stand still and go, hey girl, that was awesome. Woo!
Yeah.
And celebrate that moment. And so I am sort of marking in my diary, actually. I put, it's a celebratory day. I write it in my diary,
Yeah.
2 months from now. And then I stop on that day and I go, I celebrate in some way. So
Yeah.
I either go out with a friend or I go get a massage or I
Nice.
drive to, I mean, we live on an incredible beach, but I drive to another beach up the coast by
Oh,
myself,
lovely.
sit there, relax and enjoy and celebrate this
Yeah.
wonderful thing, this moment in life.
Yeah.
Midlife is amazing like that because
Yeah.
you do really are able to, drop in and celebrate it.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Right. Love it. Love it. And water is so powerful as well. Now,
Yeah.
Tracy, there's something you don't know that I'm going to ask you, but
Oops. Okay.
here we go.
I'm ready.
Okay. So, Tracy, if you didn't exist today, why would the world need to create you?
Because I have this really deep belief in my purpose that I will help women find their way through menopause. Like, I realize that everything I've done has brought me to this point, and all the knowledge and all the experiences that I've had in the fitness industry have brought me to this point, which is to help women identify their needs, to ask for help, and to get on top of it. To realize that midlife health is something to take seriously, and that life after menopause can be incredible, but the 10 years, up to 10 years that they need to focus on their health during perimenopause is super important, and I'm here for that. I'm
Lovely.
one of there's heaps of warriors out there, but I am one of them, and I really truly believe that I could come back and I would do this all over again. Yeah.
Lovely. Love it. Love it. Love it. Tracy, I want to thank you for your time and this really, really important conversation. I feel that more women need to embrace who they are and love this life journey that you're on, and
Thanks,
feel
Tanya.
that, and feel that sexy woman who you felt you were one time, you still are, and allow yourself to shine. It's such an important conversation. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your words with the world. And thank you everyone for listening and watching another mindful conversation. And as always, before you go to bed tonight, think about the best thing that happened. And when you wake up in the morning, either write it down or put it out to the universe, things that you are grateful for. This is Tanya Otterstein-Liehs saying, embrace who you are, love life, and realize you are important. Take care now, everyone. Bye-bye.